Good afternoon, everyone who took the time to log in again and let's see, hear a little what I have to say. I really appreciate it, but beyond that, I'm hoping that it makes a difference in your lives in terms of bringing around positive change. That's my hope. That today is Good Friday, Easter Friday, and it's 12:10 p.m. the 4th, 7, 2023. That's April 7, 2023. Anthony Tharp making another insert. I'm always going to try to be quick, but I don't think that's ever going to happen, because there's just so much to say and too little time to do. So I'm reaching out to all the listeners and viewers who are here to please realize that you're a part of planet Earth. You're part of the universe. You're part of this entire galaxy. And you have a say in what happens here, whether you like it or not. It's not only for people living on the planet or living in certain places on the planet, or those of us are beings that can travel the galaxy or the universe in their supersonic spaceships. You have a role to play in the universe, and it's just as important as that elusive alien that everybody wants to see but nobody can confirm exists. So that said, today is Good Friday, so I'm hoping that a lot of good, you'll be able to enjoy your day, a lot of good will be able to come out of it for you and your family. And if you're Jamaican, enjoy your bun and cheese. If you're not supposed to have all of that sugar stuff, just a little bit won't hurt. But today is a special day because it represents how the righteous gave up their being or sacrificed themselves so that the rest of us can see how we could save ourselves, or they can help us save ourselves. And I think it's appropriate when you think about it, because the message I've been working to get across to people is that, while Christ was willing and God was willing to sacrifice his son to save us, not too many people are going to be out there trying to do anything to help us, and it therefore means we have to stand up for ourselves. So Jesus took it to the cross, and it's up to you to take it beyond that. If he went as far as doing that and sacrificing himself, then a sacrifice like that should not be insulted by just sitting there and continue to live a life that is contrary to what he was preaching or teaching. And I don't think there's anything I can recall that Jesus thought that was bad. I don't recall. But that said, even if there were suggestions by some people of angry moments when he went into the temple and drove those corrupt people out, that's not being bad. That was being good. That's teaching us that we have to take action to help ourselves and keep society the way we want it to be kept, so everybody is treated fairly, honestly, and corruption is not something that's tolerable. So even Christ, when he went to the church or the temple or the synagogue, whatever you want to call it, demonstrated to us in a most dramatic way that I'm going in here and I'm going to turn over all of this mess. And so the message is quite clear, and it's not about God being angry. It's about Jesus and God saying, listen, people, you need to step up and stand up. And when you see stuff like this going on in your community, in your society, in the places you live and places you deem should be kept clean of evil doings, then you need to take action. And that's the message I've been trying to say to a lot of persons, especially I've been addressing the Jamaica and the corruption that's going on in Jamaica and has been going on for decades. And because most people turn a blind eye to the corruption, it's growing, it's fertile, and it's getting worse. So you need to play a part, and whatever little you think you can do, do it. just picking up the phone, complaining, calling, filing petitions, going on and reaching out with other people to say, listen, we object to this kind of thing that's going on in Jamaica and we need to fix it. So again, it's a most appropriate day to think about the things that's going on in and around us and how our own negligence can contribute to our own demise. And when, as Jesus did, there are people out there who are literally begging you to stand up and do the right thing, then just do it. It's not hard. Doing the right thing isn't hard, believe it or not. And if you think it's easier doing the wrong thing, when it catches up on you, then you're going to always say, if I knew, if me went know, I wouldn't have done it. But again, I'm imagining that most people who are listening to me are people with, superior intellect that can think. If you notice, my channel is not, and the things I'm addressing aren't things that are just in the news cycle, in the spur of the moment, just the hysteria, just carrying on, or just selecting topics just to select topics' sake and talk about. And so the things I'm speaking about are directly designed, and the things I'm saying are designed to improve the quality of life of not only you but everybody, or as many people as we possibly can affect directly in terms of getting them to start taking action and affecting from the perspective of having something that's going to be impacting them. So we want to reach out to everybody and just think of how you could play a role. Today is, as I said, Good Friday. The beaches are, I thought it would have been grossly more packed today, but maybe not yet. Maybe people come out later, or maybe a lot of people are still waking up since most people took the day off, I would imagine. So addressing that and going back to some of the issues we dealt with over the last couple of days. Of course, the judicial corruption and them trying to get back at me and my partners for being vocal about their corruption, and they think the intimidation is retribution and it's going to make a difference. No, the more they affect us, the more they try to abuse us, the more they violate our constitutional or human or rights, and it's the more we're going to scream out. I'm not sure if you ever seen or heard of a chicken with her brood walking in the field and seeing a mongoose coming and she kept quiet. No, that fowl is going to holler and scream and even chase after that mongoose if they can. So it's the same thing. You don't keep quiet when you see bad things happening. That's when you bring attention to it by screaming in as loud a voice as you can to make a difference. And if Mother Nature is showing you that animals that we deem to be lower than we are in the grand scheme of things take measures and expose danger, then we should do the same thing. And when we talked about advantages that's been delivered to you now, in them trying to get back at us, and I say get back at us because, as I said, the rulings that they've been making makes no sense. They go against the law, they go against the rules of the court, and they go against even authority that they keep introducing. And so it must be something nefarious, and they figure, let's just frustrate them by making these bad decisions and figuring it's going to deter or stop us. No, it's not, because people who are intelligent find ways to get around illegal activity. You never see people who are fighting wars because the enemy does something illicit or illegal, then people just stop fighting. No, they find other ways to deal with it. And it's the same thing here. So I've always said to you, I've done and put measures in place to protect myself and all my partners. I didn't just go out and just file stuff and not take the necessary precautions or leave the breadcrumbs for law enforcement to follow if anything nefarious or bad happens to us. because everything I've done, I've made sure it's documented and put in place so that any ordinary person or anybody with an interest in finding out what happened or what's happening can go and get the information they want. So don't worry, they might think they've gotten us, or these judges who keep doing these things think they're getting around us, but they're really creating more problems for themselves. And sadly enough, they're making it bad for Jamaica. So again, with the ruling they made recently about developers requiring a dealer's license, which again is in conflict with the law as it was written or interpreted or enforced by the real estate board, but that's what they did. And in doing so, they made it illegal, made all these developers engage in illegalities. Therefore, the only issue I'm having really seriously with persons out there who are listening or might come across this information is that you're scared to go take advantage of the benefits that come out of this ruling. I've said I'm not appealing it because I don't want to give them an excuse to say, well, it's under appeal, so what the judge did was a mistake and blah blah blah. I want you to take advantage of this. So in me not appealing, there's nobody in front of the court that can challenge the decision, and unless somebody else is willing to file an independent lawsuit against, I don't know against whom. Maybe they could sue the real estate board and then come back in front of the court. But the fact is, the judges made a decision at both the Supreme Court level and the appeals court level. And if you remember in previous videos when we went over some of the rules, one of the things the court cannot by its own rule do is review its own ruling. So here we have a court of law that decided that developers need a real estate dealer's license. Now, even if somebody sues the real estate board or some other body to say the judges were wrong, the Supreme Court cannot review a decision it already made, and the appeals court cannot review a decision that's already made. And unless the person, the litigant who filed a lawsuit to challenge those things, end up in front of the Privy Council, then there's nobody to really challenge it, because the court would have no jurisdiction to review that ruling. And I'll say the court has no jurisdiction to review that because the Supreme Court couldn't take and rule on a matter that they already ruled on. The appeals court couldn't rule on a matter that they already ruled on. And unless you file a matter that goes through the system, goes through the Supreme Court, then through the appeals court, then the Privy Council has no jurisdiction to take on the matter. I hope you see where I'm going with this. And that's why I said, when I thought about it, my first reaction was I was going to file an appeal to the Privy Council, but then I said, no, these judges screwed up because they're playing games with people's lives. So let this screw up go into the general population, the economy, and benefit hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans. Because in effect, what this ruling does is saying, unless me or my partners challenge this thing in an appeal, then nobody else can challenge the ruling. That's just the law. Nobody has jurisdiction to challenge this ruling, because when it goes back to the appeals court or the Supreme Court, they cannot rule on it again. They cannot review their own ruling. And since they rule that developers need a real estate dealer's license, and that's a decision that's been affirmed by the appeals court, they can't go back to the Supreme Court with the same question of law. It's a matter of law. So again, Jamaicans are in a very strong position to take advantage of this ruling and put money in their pockets. And I submit that based on the flow of events and based on the rulings that the courts did, the only party or body that could change that ruling is Parliament. And when Parliament makes a ruling now, I don't think they could make it retroactive to the ruling that was made or to the original law when it was first implemented. Whatever is done now would have to be in effect from the day Parliament does it, which will be a future date of this video. Meaning, anybody that benefits from this ruling that the appeals court just handed down on the 31st of March 2023, declaring that everybody who signed an agreement with a developer that didn't have a real estate dealer's license signed an illegal agreement, and all subsequent agreements coming out of those agreements are themselves illegalities and therefore illegal and unenforceable. Every one of those persons who benefit from my analogy or review of the ruling, of the events, of the flowchart, of the jurisdiction of each of these courts and these judges, Parliament couldn't reverse it, and therefore anything that went before this decision, and the decision was made on the 31st, in 2017, affirmed in March 31st of this year, then everybody before that decision was made would fall under the illegalities. And if that sounds convoluted, I hope it's not. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. And the shortest version of all of that is to say, then you never had any legal agreements before based on the ruling of this court. So everything that you did before in terms of contracts, purchasing your property, getting a mortgage was illegal. And therefore, none of those parties can make any action to enforce any of those illegal agreements. So that means you're cool. You're in the clear. Economically, you have the advantage. And as a matter of fact, the parties that's been collecting money from you from the time you started this, including your mortgage, would have been collecting money from you illegally, and based on that, you do a refund. You see, it's not really complex. It's a very simple analogy based on the law. However, it complicates things for each of these persons because, one, banks who have been collecting money from you for mortgage payments technically owe you a refund on the money because they were collecting the money illegally. The real estate developer who sold you the property, who the bank paid through a mortgage, would technically owe the banks a refund because it was an illegal transaction. But then the developer themselves have legal arguments to present to the world because the developer can simply say, this is what the real estate board said they were doing. They were legally registered with the real estate board, and therefore the only consequential action that could be taken is for government to go in, and because this is a wrong move on government, to refund everybody but you. Based on all of this, nothing of the agreements that you signed or nothing in them could compulsory make you pay back any of that. And I wouldn't pay it back. When, as I said, when you have economic advantages, you take advantage of it. This is an opportunity for you to go stack up and put away money for your retirement, your pension, or some other investment option. So take advantage of it. Don't just sit around and allow things that's beneficial to you to go amok. Now, I'm going to be, again, taking action, and I suggested earlier that I've always done things where I have my backup plan. I never have one hole to run out of if my front door is blocked. So we've put the other things in action that will fix these people once and for all. And I'll update you on that. I won't be speaking too much longer on that. I'm praying that you will reach out, and if you're scared to maneuver this whole judgment and the benefits that come out of it from the ruling of the court, put it in the comment section, and let's start communicating this way and develop a strategy where multiple parties who have the opportunity to benefit from this can benefit by us taking unified action to enforce the judgment that's beneficial to you. And we can do it. So it's as easy. I'm just saying to you now, if you're scared of doing it, if you know people who have homes and property that they bought from developers, that did not have a real estate dealer's license, and they're scared of doing this. Let's get together online and strategize and implement and enforce the judgment that Justice Ty made and the appeals court upheld. A judgment that's not been appealed, has not been appealed by me or anybody that has a direct benefit or in the lawsuit that we had filed. And therefore, if we don't challenge it any further, there is nobody else that could challenge it. And again, we explained to you before that even if somebody files a new lawsuit, then technically the courts couldn't review it, and the only court that could review anything of this decision is if the party who they made the decision against appealed it to the Privy Council. We're not doing it. So I'm saying to you, let's teach these people a lesson. You have an opportunity to show that corruption and judges who abuse their jurisdiction and politicians who close their eyes to these things and make them continue to happen will be in a position to say, guess what? Jamaicans benefited once and for all from some corrupt action of these corrupt people. Because no judge, again, whether they're taking action against us because they feel they're being vindictive, or it's retribution for our stance in standing up for people doing the right thing, or us standing up for our rights, then they're corrupt. They're corrupt, and they shouldn't be in the judicial process or the system. We need to get rid of them. But now, if people realize that a lot of these institutions lost money because of this corruption, these financial institutions, these banks, these corporate bodies, these massive or large-scale developers, they're not going to sit down and allow this to continue. So whereas poor people who think they don't have a voice, and technically if they go to court they don't have a voice because of these corrupt judges and corrupt attorneys, then these people who are going to be suffering or hurt by this decision will make or take action to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And therefore the judges who played a role in this illegal activity and what I'm calling an illegal judgment, but it's a judgment nonetheless that has to be overturned in the system, then guess what? These big money people not going to sit down and allow and see their money lost. And remember, all of these big corporations have a lot to lose because these financial institutions can't get paid. Those loans that they paid over to the developers, they can't force you to pay it back. And technically they can't force the developers to pay it back either, because as I explained to you before, there is this massive loophole that the developers can jump through by simply providing the evidence that this is what the government said they needed, the real estate board. So if the government said this is what they needed, and then they went ahead and used those conditions to operate, then the court can't hold them accountable for anything that was lost in terms of money from banks or otherwise. So thanks again. It's Good Friday. Enjoy your Friday. Let's get together and make a difference. I say, don't be scared. It's time to become proactive. Just like when Jesus went into the synagogue and started overturn tables and all of that. Yeah, those people were upset and angry. Yeah, it was part of their whole strategy now to get rid of Christ by orchestrating the crucifixion. But look at the greater good. This was what was intended from onset. Jesus knew this was going to happen. God knew this was going to happen. So you don't think they know all of this is happening? That's why it happened to me. That's why it happened to my partners. So it could be exposed. There's nothing under the sun that's new. That's it. That's the other thing. Corruption has been going on, but unless people stand up and fight it, then it's going to continue. And I don't think Jamaica can continue to bear this burden. The burden of a few people, a handful of people who keep undermining this country and what it should stand for. So again, have a good one. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your bun and cheese and your fish and all of that stuff. And we'll be talking. Bye.